Good morning, good morning. Quite the move. I mean, it looks like we'll probably head down a bit more. Doesn't look like they're done selling just yet, but we'll see. Into our 515, which is an important area on ES. But watching Russell double bottom potentially here. If not, then we'll head down to that VPOC at 71.3. NQ leading down. ES pushing into our area now. We had some pretty nice. We had a beautiful trap on ES this morning, and then we had a great secondary as well. I mean, this looks like a continuation down. Let's see what they do here. Great POC shift, failure, lots of absorption
1
up
minute now for
into
the Canadian
24.
IV PMI for May.
Now continuation down below 15s. Let's watch the retest into our 15-16 area. See if we can absorb into that. We have news in 1 minute. NQ sellers sitting at 20. They're trying to absorb into 800 to 820 right now. Again, watching just this area for this rejection and then a
10
continuation down.
seconds.
We get below 509, we probably head to 503, would be my assumption. We're getting our resistance where we wanted our reoffer.
58 spot 2, 58 spot 2.
Let's see if we can get some continuation here. PVZ zones just opened for period 2. You can see them on ES and NQ here. Just watching our reoffer, just like we talked about right there. You are trading within watching this 509. If you're playing off 515, right, this is your first target, and we'll see if we can get below this 509 for a push to 503. All right, coming up into our absorption now, watching. The taking in size at 20s on ES. There's no upside for me until we flip 2025. It just doesn't make sense. This is our PVC value low on both ES and NNQ on our previous 15-minute candles. So it's a great reoffer until we can show interest above our POC shifts that we see here. Until I see acceptance back over our POC of previous 15s, it'll just be a reoffer to me, personally. But let's see what they do. So far, again, bid getting taken in into 520 on ES and NQ into our 820.
Oil extends losses with WTI trading near $91 per barrel. So we are seeing here a statement from the White House. So U.S. envoy Witkoff, accompanied by the ambassador to Oman, conducted talks today in Muscat with the Iranian Foreign Minister Araghchi, which were hosted by Omani Foreign Minister. The discussions were positive and constructive, and the U.S. deeply thanked the Sultanate of Oman for its support in this initiative. So Witkoff underscored to Araghchi that he had instructions from Trump to resolve the two nations' differences through dialogue and diplomacy if it's possible. So ignore the prior statement there. So that was, in fact, picked up by the wires in error. Looking at the statement here, it was reported on April 13th, 2025.
Should be your first risk off if you're playing off of this 20 to 15 area where we spotted the absorption. Same thing with NQ at our 20s, at our PVZ. Just rotating back down to our lows. Got to get below this if we're going to do one more leg. I'm going to be targeting 503 on ES if that's going to happen. We'll see. So far, no ability to push below as of yet. Yeah, there's decent absorption in our lows, but we got to get over this 25. Same thing with NQ into 880 to really like 920. But let's see what they do here. This is where you'd want to see the bid flip if we were going to do anything new. Or they'll just absorb here again into 25, trap, and then look back below. But if we can flip 25s, should head up to 540, giving us a nice trade. Just watch what we do here at our POC shift. The key is to be able to get above our previous 50-minute POCs and establish a secondary bid, or this is just going to be a retrace and failure here with Russell pushing into VWAP and then losing momentum. So take it in so far, no luck, right? We have to show interest above. We'll see what we do here. Russell needs to build out a higher low if it's going to continue. That'll be our test, I think. Bid is trying to step in at this 8270 at our POC shift. They're trying, right? But we've got this NQ absorption that we see into 25s. That's pretty obvious. And there was no distinct push on NQ above highs. So just right now, it's just another distribution before another leg down potentially with no break in trend. Like clearly absorption into lows, right? You have to risk off into that, of course, but there's been no shift of sellers at our highs yet. So just keep an eye on this. All we have to do is put a fixed range on this lower range, I think. Just watch for that flip below. If not, then we'll hold higher lows, right? Good hold so far where we need to. Again, just still need to see that interest above. We did hold where we needed
Bank
to
of
so
England's
far,
Dinger
though.
on the oil shock says consumer implications are the same as 2022.
I hmm.
Bank of England's Dinger says it's very hard to say what my future rate decisions will be. They depend on energy prices.
Russell continues to want to push, so we'll keep pushing until that stops. Watching as we push into view up now. Into our POC here on NQ. ES getting our first signs of life on the look above. Good bid so far on the flip with 25s from the look above. I mean, I'd like to see ES head up to like 35 to 40 as target, but we'll see what they do here. Off of our flip, just like we talked about. Just back up to this guy. I'm not sold on NQ yet, personally. I like this ES flip quite a bit from our hold of our value here. This makes 100% sense to me, right? We held our lower distribution. We then were able to successfully bid over where our sellers were sitting. We're now watching with Russell leading if this can come back up to retest this area here. NQ, again, I need to see us outside of this value here and show interest. Our first signs of life, of course, will be on a hold of this on retest at 80s. But I need to see us a bit higher. There's a lot of absorption here on the past. But if 880 can bid and show interest, that will be a great sign that we want to rotate up to like 960.
Bank of England's Dingris says, I have no strong view on job weakness / price pressure balance.
Okay, I mean, let's see if that was enough. So far bidding off our pivots, but need to get over 25s to head up there. I just played off of that initial test into 80. And now we'll watch to see, just stop at that low from the initial push from our 80 retest. Following our pathing. Same thing with ES here at our 25 edge. Taking off my first risk here on ES into 33 to 35. This is just like VWAP and our edge here, like I said before. Russell continuing to push, looks okay. Watching our retest here of 925 on NQ, see if we can build above our pivot here from our initial bounce at 80s on NQ.
Fitzhamack says it may soon be appropriate to act on rates. So this is in a LinkedIn post.
Bro's posting on LinkedIn. It's crazy. Watching Russell retest VWAP for the first time from a look into their value edge. See if we find a reactive bounce here with RTY, with ES back to our pivot, and NQ trying to hold this 80 to 925.
So again, Fitzhamack saying that it's reasonable to keep rates steady for now, but if the recent trends continue, it may soon be appropriate to act against high inflation.
Retesting POCs across the market here. Watching Russell to come back down into 83, 84 for a reaction. This is a little bit of a drastic sell in my opinion. We're just waiting for Russell to find its low, and then we'll probably get a pretty reflexive move back up. And then we look to retry this on the look back above our pivots, I think. If we see that reflexive move on Russell on our POC. I'm just watching NQ come down into 820 with Russell coming down into our VPOC migration at 83s, like we talked about. We just need to find this RTY low into this POC and watch NQ into this lower distribution that we created. Watching to see if we can hold this POC here at like 15 to 20. Watching for reactions here. It's like do or die kind of here into 20. All right, come on, figure it out. They're absorbing pretty heavy into 720 here on ES. This flip of our 20s is also potentially pretty big. Um, I'm more interested in this ES absorption that we're seeing here for the rotation down to 708 again, potentially. I don't think that there's much left here on NQ. 800 to 760 is just very responsive so far. We're just going to look to see if we can traverse through this range here on retest as we push into 20s to see if we push down or if this is going to fail. We're just holding POC to value of our previous candle and seeing responsive bids so far, so just got to be really careful. Watch this edge to see what we do. It's the same thing on ES. We're just trapped in this range again. Watching our 20. Russell retesting POC is resistance here on retest. To me, it just looks like NQ has room between 800 and 880 right now, with them trying to step the auction down here at 60. I'm just waiting for our next trap trader because again, like we just came back down to the same absorption areas as before and showed no real interest below, right? So a little messy for me. If we're just going to be balanced between this POC and this POC. I think I might try a short into 880 to like 905. They're absorbing here into 22 to 25 on ES right now. Top of our range on NQ is just this 880, 900 again. We'll be playing off of this LVN here. Just into our POC with Russell retesting. But you have to like maintain a pretty tight stop if it's going to because if it flips, right, it flips, and then we'll look for the bid instead. Watching our offer here as we push into this 880, 900, see if we defend this. I'd like to see like some pretty clear absorption if we push into this.
So Trump posting on Truth Social about the jobs report says, with a great jobs report like just announced, stocks should go up, not down. That's the way it was for 200 years, and growth does not mean inflation. How else can a country attain greatness?
Just keeping an eye to see if we find some absorption here. We just had a lot of buying deltas that attempted here into this 880, 900, and we have to see if they'll step back in and defend this on flip, or if they're going to get absorbed into here. I want to see like a pretty clear take, and then a look back below for entry, or again, we'll look for the flip.
The SpaceX IPO is said to draw more orders than there will be shares available.
No desire so far. Pushing above. So just gonna keep an eye on this to see if we get the actual flip here and hold. I'd love to see a retest of this 900, just to confirm it. Any look below 880s will probably be a short if we trap here, right? Like we either hold this 880, 900 now and show like a pretty clear bid, or I'll still be looking for the same thing. I just want to see like, can we now hold, or is this going to fail and then trap without taking out highs, right? Let's see if we can get this rotation down off that 80 flip. A really volatile market. You want to be trading less size, boys. Bit of a wider stop. Big rotations that are occurring. So still no ability to push over our 25 where we talked about that absorption earlier. That still is the case. We have looked into this area, failed to take out highs, and then pushed below 80s. It's a really messy market, in my opinion. We'll see what we do. We still are defending this lower distribution, which is good for buyers. I won't be like incredibly bearish until we flip below this and hold. We just continue to find a bid here into this low, which becomes your first risk off, and we watch to see for reactions here into this edge here at 30, and then back down to our like I don't know 17 area. I'm just gonna put that up there actually. It's just this lower value, right, where we saw our first signs of absorption into our PVC here, and that's your first risk off here into again just like this 20 to 15 area. Until we get below 760, I just don't really see a ton more here, personally. So as we push down into this, look for some absorption from buyers and see if anything shifts. But to me, it still just looks like there's a very clear participant up here into our 880, 925, no ability to push. Yeah, I think that makes sense. I did as well. You make up for it pretty quick. It's like either they're going to hold that at upper auction or it's just going to continue to fail. And then it's just right back down to this bid down here. And let's see what they do. Again, this is just us maintaining the top of this this value here. What's up, Rome? There's some pretty insane moves though so far. Like we're getting really nice point-wise like action, you know. That's why you don't need big size to make money today. You just need to not get stopped out in the volatility as long as we're still maintaining our edges. But your stops shouldn't cost you because we're getting nice rotations. So it's like either it's an if then, right? So like if we hold, great. If not, like we will rotate fully through. So being aware of that and not giving it all back or staying in trades that don't make sense is going to be really key today with minimal size. And then just let things run. I mean, you're getting like really solid rotations. We're in like a 100-point range right now with rotations every 10 minutes, it looks like so far. 80 to 100 points. I'm watching this ES guy get absorbed into 21s right now. He's a bit off sides, coming back down to our lows. Yeah, so again, we just have two trap participants. We have these guys in these lows here at like 6 to 14 on ES. And then we have these guys in our highs here at 26 to 34 that we're playing around. Same thing on NQ, and no ability to push over these sellers at our highs, which is where we would flip out bullish. And then we just rotate through the range as soon as we fail to establish above. And then it's just a reoffer and rotation back down to these buyers here, down in these lows based off of right, this POC to value here from that low that we put in. Until we can flip below this 800 to 770. I think we find buy side here. Let's see what they do. I'd like to see, like we're trying to hold this edge now. We got our rotation through this value. Just watching to see now how we're going to interact. Right, we're rotating between value and value here. We would need to flip and hold for more. And ideally, sell side would, you know, defend this edge now if we're going to do that. But seeing it is believing it. And we've got this Russell divergence where NQ and ES are just doing full rotations between, you know, our known buyer and our known seller, right? And Russell is just making higher lows the entire time. So it's a pretty bit of an interesting divergence. This is now shifted up to 15. If you don't like trading balance, you just need to wait. This divergence will play out fully, and then we'll have some really nice trades. But if you are willing to trade balance, things aren't terrible, right? We haven't seen success at either edge so far, and we've just done rotations. Until we do, right, it's just the bid found here again at this like 810 to 760, and sell side sitting into our 880, 940. And we just look for interactions inside these areas, right? So a look in, a failure, and then a rotation through, right? A look in, a failure, and then a rotation through, right? You play the lower high, and then you look for the rotation through the value area. You don't need to catch the knife, right? On either side, you look for absorption into an area of interest, and then we look for the rotation through. You look for interest into an area, and then you look for the rotation through. Until we can flip and hold, right? You treat these edges as basically extremes, and then we play this area, right? This area, the blue. That's what it's all about. And if they don't give us this opportunity, that's okay. Then we don't take it. But we're just looking for those failures until proven otherwise, right? And so far, bid is still willing to just defend this edge. They continue to try to take into 520 on an ES. It's a bit of an odd level.
According to a poll, the Bank of Canada is to hold the overnight rate at 2.25% through the end of this year. That's according to 28 of 34 economists polled. So they're to hold the overnight rate at 2.25% on the June 10th meeting, of course, according to all 33 economists. Fitch Rating says the oil market will return to oversupply once Hormuz opens.
Oh my god.
So looking into this piece then, Fitch Ratings say the Hormuz Strait closure created a logistical supply shock but does not alter the direction of the market. A rapid production recovery in the region, strong non-OPEC growth and potentially more aggressive OPEC policy are likely to re-establish oversupply in the fourth quarter of this year and drive prices lower once the strait reopens. And we have posted the article on the feed for those interested.
These guys into 23, 25 just got absolutely ruined. Same thing on NQ into 60s. Pushing into our low zone now. Watching to see if we'll take in size and then rotate back through on a flip back over, or if this is going to do something new. So far, it's decent size being taken in down here. They're trying to flip. You've got this pocket here where they're trying to shift this edge at our 800 to 820. We'll watch to see if they can, if offer can actually step down here and hold that for rotations, or if this will then find a nice little bid that then rotates us up off of it for another rotation.
Fitch Ratings assume global oil supply to exceed demand in 2026 on average for the year.
failure to establish above that 800, 820.
US stocks
Offer
extend their fall with the
rotated
Nasdaq down 1%.
Big sell side absorption
Excuse me,
into
Nasdaq's now
770.
down 2%.
This would be your first target if you're playing off of that. We watch to see if we can flip below 70s and then offer it, or if this is going to continue to maintain as our low. This is PVC target as well, based off pathing. We are not seeing any shift on ES or RTY yet, so I don't know if we're going to get this next leg down on NQ yet. I liked that offer that's tried to step down here, this 800, 820, without that ability to look above and then bid for this rotation down into our lows, but no ability yet to take out unless we see something different, I don't think, on Russell. We'll see. Again, like this market is incredibly volatile, and you do not need to be trading large size today to be making money. That's actually the way you're going to be in trouble. You can have great ideas, but the areas that you need to be watching are a bit more large, right? And so you want to be trading less size because of the volatility. It's retesting our 70s. Bid sitting at 73. Yes, just back down to our lows at our PVC value and ADR. Russell coming back down to our POC shift. Just keep an eye as we push down into this. It also is just trading between our value high and our value low right now. big size trying into 70s. I just do not trust this low on NQ. This is where we absorbed like crazy. I just don't see it on ES or RTY yet. Maybe we get like a little look below with Russell not at our 80 yet, but we would need it to sustain. I've got one runner left. Just playing off of the that look into that 20 and then the failure, right? Just trying to hold this now. But I just don't have a ton of faith as RTY comes down into this low. I feel like it'll be pretty reactive. We just don't have like confluence yet on ES or RTY that they aren't going to just bounce these bottoms. So, like I'm going to allow it to play for as long as it's playing, but I'm going to be very careful, right? Diligent with these lows. NQ really trying below 60. 70 to 80, I think, is our new line in the sand. See if we're going to get this continuation. I'm watching Russell as we come down into this PVZ value low here. Our PVZ target's 700. If this fails to get back above our 70 to 80 on retest, right? Just into our reversion zone. But let's see what they do. We've got this POC to value of this candle so far with 30 seconds left, just into that area that we were playing around. I think we'll probably get the retest of 70 to 80 before the new into the new 15, but just in case we don't, right, we've got the target labeled where we're potentially going to go. I'm watching Russell as we come down into this low for that reflexive bounce into the new 15s, just in case, right? We want to be aware of it. Whatever comes first. This is Russell into target, our value low. ES retesting our lows. Just watching POC to value above us from previous candle across the board. So immediate bounce across the market with Russell into target at our PVC value. Got a reflexive bid back up. Now watching to see what we do here as we push into this seller again. Are we going to be able to hold our edge now that that reflexive bounce is over, or are we going to get back in trapping these traders outside of value as we enter back in, right? This is our retest. We would have to get back below 40 and sweep for this not to be a higher low. Sell side's got to flip that 40 again. Testing into our area of interest now. Sell side is trying, but they're getting taken in so far. Watching for Russell. Got to get below this 40 on NQ again, like we
The
talked
US,
about.
Mexico, and
That's where the bid
Canada are set
is.
to miss the July 1st USMCA renewal date.
We did a really
So
good
the
take so
USMCA
far,
pact
like a
remains in
60.
place after July 1st amid a rolling review.
But we need secondary sellers below 40 to flip this and then start to show aggression. Good first attempt. Let's see if they can continue it. I think that was a beautiful trade. There it is. There's your rejection on retest. There's your offer below 40, and then there's target into 700.
The Nasdaq 100 extends drop to 2.5% now.
I think that was a absolutely beautiful trade with our Russell bounce and follow through. Now let's watch our 40 edge again.
In
and
Fox
see if
Business,
that's all
US
we get.
Energy Secretary Wright says the US are to add 40 million barrels to the SPR after the Iran conflict is over.
Stop now sits at 50 on runner that I got into on the flip below 40s. Our 25 to 40 is now our in play as our offer. We can see what this looks like on the 15 as well here with that absorption as we were pushing into that edge. You can see them into that 60 there as we retested. And then on the delta bubble that I just put into chat, you can see that 40 flip with a big size and retest. Right, but we got our expected initial bounce with the Russell bid at our value on first test, and then got our next leg down as soon as we lost momentum there. Well, now let's see what we do. I mean, I'm gonna post. I don't know if we're gonna go lower than this. I have no clue. So we can do a bit of a trade review here, real quick, while we wait for an interaction. Now that we've hit our target, so we knew this was the bottom of our balance, and that if we were going to get a shift, sell side was going to have to step down. We noticed that when the bid happens, right? This is where we get that secondary buyer to step in into this 800, 820. There was no secondary buyer willing to initiate over that 20, right? We can see that there's no initiation above, just a little quick take and then a failure. So without that look above and ability to hold, all we're doing is playing this as sell side stepping in here, and then I'm looking at this continuation down, and then we're just playing into these lows. Let's see that here. Copy. Right, so like that's all that is just a failure to get back above our low, right, to then rotate this range, and then just using that as our risk. Once we see that initial failure, right, I'm just playing the look below those participants there, right? That's literally all it is. So as soon as we see that failure to sustain these guys who were participating here last, right, it's like, okay, well, clearly something has shifted because we're not getting the lift that we were getting on the last attempts in here that then resulted in the rotations to the upside, right? Which is why we drew what we did, which was a look in and then a failure, right? Or a look above and then a hold and rotation through. So with that understanding, right, I'm now taking a trade with this then being my risk. Once we see that initial shift down, then this 800, 820 becomes our risk, right? It's like, oh, sorry, this is probably confusing because you've got the trading view prices next to it. Sorry about that. Right, so like this then becomes our risk because we already know that this is where participants were last. So I'm watching them step down, and now I'm putting my stop just at that high. And then it's just playing down into first target, which is just our lows, right, into our 60 to 70. So I take off first into that, and then we watch what's going to happen if we're going to be able to hold that seller, and then we rotate down into our 25s, where we expected a bounce to happen. And I didn't close here because I expected a bounce to happen based off of Russell, but we knew that we were looking for a reoffer into the sell side liquidity that we spotted on our first take profit, right? So we're watching to see how we interact into our first take profit based off of these deltas here. And then we see them start to sweep us down. And I don't add here. I add once we flip below that 40 that we talked about. I could have probably have added here, but I didn't. Yeah, it would be 820. That's what I just said. Yeah, it's the high, right? It's the wick high. It's not 820 exactly. It's the wick high. Because I'm playing off of that selling reaction, and I'm looking for that continuation down off of this failure, right? So now all I'm doing is watching for what our expectations were, right? Which is we need to flip below 40s for our next leg. So we're coming back up to retest these sellers that swept us down with Russell bidding off of that low, right? That was the whole idea. And then we see strong sell side start to step in. And what do? Well, I then immediately add, right? Why do I add here? Well, because now we have I have an average that's way higher. So now my average, right, is like 760. So I'm in a really free trade, and I can put my stop now at 50s, playing off of this sweep down at 40. And now this trade is free regardless, but now I've seen the sell side that I want, and I'm seeing that offer step down at that 40 and holding, and I can now play into our target that we had initially on chart, which was that 700 on our balance zone. And now my risk, right, is just playing off of this zone where we saw these strong sellers step in. And now I'm just watching to see if we get this continuation down or not. right? Do you see how I'm just like walking down this trade off of this failure to get back into our balance and show that interest? And then we just use Russell as our strength or weakness, and all we're doing is playing off of that initiation, right? Because we know like we're in balance, like well, yes, sure, but like if balance breaks and offer wants to step down, we have areas where we can look to play, and then we just go with the flow. Sorry, I was a bit locked in for that trade, but hopefully that explanation was good and you were able to at least follow along with what I was talking about when I was trading it itself. But we haven't really seen much here since that. Another way to show this, I'm gonna just look at the 2 minute because I think that shows a little bit more of the consolidation. What do we see trapping here into that retest? Right? Is that a bit clearer? With this buyer, it gets trapped, and then sell side really forcing it down.
The Canadian dollar weakens to a near 2-month low per the US dollar.
And
It's
then we can
down
see
0.2% on the day today.
right, like that 40 then becomes a really important level because this is where that buyer initiated. And then when we see that sweeper below, and then we're continuing to maintain it, it's like, oh, okay, well, I want to be playing around that then because we know that they took in size into this area. I don't know. Hopefully that was helpful. And again, like we're just holding POC now for the trend down. So it's a break of our balance idea. As soon as we started to show acceptance, below our balance on both ES and NQ and our PVZ and our value, right? So now we have to be playing off of this absorption that we're seeing, right? All of these deltas here. And we can see the same thing on our delta chart on ES into our 506 and into our 502. I mean, beautiful trade. Just huge. I mean, I don't really know what the target is. Probably this node would be my guess. whatever comes first. Either this like this node that we have here, or Russell into our VPOC at 871 would be my assumption. Just trail it. This is what I mean when I say you don't need large size today. Like I'm trading a single contract and then I added only when I was in profit for the secondary leg once we had confirmation. And now I have a single contract from our, our 40 reoffer, and this is up $1,600 on a single contract, just playing off of our pivot for the secondary move we talked about.
The dollar index rises around spot 5%. It's up the most in 2 months.
I'm flat here, I think. Yeah. And then we'll see what happens. I'm just watching this Russell into VPOC. I think we have a bit more room down on NQ, but I'm up incredibly big off of that trade. And we've got a catalyst with Russell potentially. So I'm going to just allow that to taking profits to secure. And then if we find something new, we find something new. I think you can probably play that down into 560 to 610. But
And gold extends losses, last down over 3%.
I don't need a bottom tick. I'm very happy with that trade. And this is RTY into our VPOC. And I watch ES as we come down into 84 to 79. If you have the ability to trail, do you? I'm just going to keep an eye on our reaction here on RTY. Immediate reaction off of our RTY VPOC there at 71 and our 615 that we thought would be target on NQ. And again, like I don't know if this is going to be the low of day, right? But what I do know is that I'm not about to not get filled because we're so reactive at our actual level, and then I miss out on the move, right? Like I would rather take profit going into an area, understanding that it's probably going to be incredibly reactive, than not take profit or not get filled, because it's happened to me in the past, right? Where it's like I expect a reoffer here, right? Like I expect a reflexive bounce, and so like I know that that's what's going to happen, and so I'm fine taking profit here and then watching to see what happens afterwards, because I know that there's potential that I don't get filled, right? And that's just something that I'm not gonna play to the tick. Like that's stupid. Yeah, right. So just to like give an idea of like why I do that. It's like, yeah, we'll probably head there, but I don't know if I'm gonna get filled. I have no fucking clue. I'm not a wizard, like I don't but I know that we're pushing into a level that I care about and I'm starting to see some absorption, right? So it's like, okay, well, let's see what they do here. And then if we can figure something else out, right, on like a retest or something like that, beautiful, right? Then we can take a re-entry into a trade. There's no evidence that you're not a wizard. I guess. What would be supporting evidence? Like how would I prove that? Yeah, exactly. I don't need to catch the wick into the liquidity stream. We'll get a new 15 in 40 seconds and we'll figure it out from there. Let's watch to see if Russell puts in a higher low here at our reversion zone. Now that we've taken that VPOC. if we hold a higher low here, I would fully expect. I mean, I have no clue what's going to happen, but if we do hold this higher low, I would expect that we would then come back up here to retest before we figure out a direction. But let's see what they do here. I desperately have to use the bathroom, so I will be right back. New 15's opening now. Wizards would use the bathroom right now. Fuck. You got me. So we're getting that higher low off Russell we were just looking at. Just watching our rotation up. I'm feeling pretty happy with our exit so far. Maybe I'll regret it in, 30 minutes when it's like, oh, we never came back up to my entry at 25 to 40. Right, but I'm pretty happy with it so far, just based off of our plan. It's nice to see that we got the reflexive bounce and our risking our risk mentality made sense at the time. We're still making lower highs, of course. We're just watching for Russell to lose some momentum and then get back below this pivot for continuation down. NQ just retesting into our value edge here. Very clear absorption or take that just happened into 680. Let's see if they get punished for it or if it's a nothing burger. I think we have to get below 50s for it to have any real meaning here. This 50 has to flip offer pretty clearly with that guy who got taken in 80. And then we need to see this defended here on this retest. They're trying. I turned my toilet into a gaming PC. RTY is still holding this pivot. I'm not a big fan of that. We're not going to get the momentum we need for NQ follow through. They really tried at 50s, but just failed. Rotation back up to our 80 guy who got absorbed. It's going to be our new auction until we figure it out, I think. Just between our POC and value high of our previous candle, basically. I'm just going to put a fixed range on this area so that we can see where the offside traders are, just out of this little value distribution that we've created on this node. And you can see why, like, I want to see that offer step down, because that's the POC here of this node, and we'd be then holding this edge. But we need to see that flip. Again, like, this guy is a bit screwed into 80s if we hold, but we need Russell to lose momentum, or we're just gonna be balanced here, and then we'll screw these sellers below 50. So just keeping an eye on it. Let's see which way we can go. Market is much easier to trade when we have movement across all of our indexes together, right? So when RTY stops pushing, right, you're going to have your best opportunity. And then we just look to see if we trap any traders, right? Right now we've got this guy into 80 who's trapped. And we have no change in on ES, right? Still holding POC as offer. We've got this LVN above us that we can push into, this 94 to 500 if we need to look for, you know, another area of absorption. But we just watch to see if RTY loses momentum and can get below this pivot for that next leg. And again, we've got this guy who's a wee bit offsides into these highs, and we're just watching to see what our reaction is going to be between these value high and value low right now. If we can get this next leg with full market participation, I'd be very happy. If not, right, we'll build out another distribution down here and then figure out what we want to do afterwards. I'm assuming the longer we sit here, we're just gonna have to come up into that void. So for me, like this area is going to be incredibly important on ES that we come up into. And then we'll watch to see what we do if we like trap into that and then get back in. Something like this I could see potentially happening. I mean, we'll see what they do, but I definitely think that some sort of, you know, liquidity into this LVN could potentially be the look that we need, and then we see like an aggressive sell through the area. I don't know. It's going to be dependent on what RTY wants to do, but just keeping an eye on this potentially. We have no evidence of it yet, but other than the lack of desire at our lows, right? Which means I feel like we might need to come up first to see if we can trap some liquidity for that next leg from the lack of desire right now. Same thing on NQ, right? Just like a need to find some new liquidity before we can then take out and punish them for a continuation. But that's completely just an idea right now. There's no evidence to support it. Just a hunch, if you will. Dude, I'm so pissed. I got like a bag of apples a couple days ago, and I haven't opened my windows once. And I'm like, I live like there's no way bugs are getting into my house, and I know it's from these apples, and I now have fruit flies, and I want to die. I've got to figure out how to get rid of them, just because I brought apples into the house. I've like been so like self-contained and like trying my best not to bring anything in because this place is so clean. And then I just see one fly by the other day, and I'm like, oh, I know it was that. They're impossible once they're in your house, I swear. Because then they just like live in your drain. You have to like nuke them. I gotta move now. It's the only option. They live in your ear. Don't you dare tell me that. What is wrong with you? What, what the hell? I mean, there's decent size being taken in here into our 70 to 80 still. They just need to do something with it. If not, then we're gonna rotate up. Watching Russell as we push back down into our lows off our pivot hold. Again, they've been taking in decent size, but there's just no desire yet to flip. Maybe we don't need to go up. We've got 50 seconds until new 15s, so let's see if a decision's made or if it's going to be an inside bar. I've tried that before, Wise. I don't know. I mean, it doesn't. The problem is like it'll kill like the initial ones, but like if there are any eggs, like it just doesn't really. They just continue to spawn. Like you have to kill all of them, or they just continue to spawn. Like the vinegar trick is definitely good, especially with like a little dish soap in it, so that they can't get out. But I've never been able to like fully kill. So I'm hoping that I think what I need to do is just as soon as I bring produce inside the house, I just need to like vinegar bath it immediately. Like not even mess with it. just everything needs to be washed as soon as it enters the house. So I'll try the vinegar, the cup of vinegar this weekend and see if I can get rid of them. But then afterwards, I just got to start washing everything that I bring in here. They're really absorbed into this 60 to 80. Let's see if we can get this actual flip below on this attempt. Watching Russell to lead. We might not need this look above. New 15's opening now. I'd like some sort of retest if this is going to actually confirm. Maybe into like 36 to 50 if we're being aggressive. To hold the lows, watching RTY into our low and ES into our low. Let's see what they do here on this little look below.
So CNN reports Iran leader's aide says that the talks are deadlocked over the $24 billion in frozen Iranian assets. The CNN articles on the feed for those interested.
I mean the trade's 1-to-1 right now, but I'm not incredibly happy with it. Our initial reaction so far. Let's see if we get more, or if it's gonna fizzle out after taking out low. On this wick, no, I didn't get filled there. I'm in from here on this little look down on the first test on the lookout. But again, like we're not doing anything with it, so it's not great yet. See if this Russell continuation can happen off this flip and hold below as well. This is what we want to see. Okay, there's some points. Fuck yeah. There it is. You just gotta trade less size, bro. Not worry about perfect entries on a day like today.
So Khomeini's aide tells CNN as well that a meeting with Trump will not happen.
Bro, I just pressed market. What's up, Ellie? I took off risk there into that 90. Watching to see what we do. Just played the 36 down with our 50 as our risk. Starting to see some absorption here. Do I have certain criteria? I usually use limits for PTs. I usually market entries most of the time. It really depends. If I see like imbalance, I'll use limits mostly at edges for primary entry, and then I'll look for secondaries. But most of the time, I am willing to transact within a range. I will market in, and I will just have a stop at, right, like my area of interest. Like it doesn't, like, how do I put this? I think that if you try and you struggle with, I think it's a lost cause trying to get the perfect entry. And so you need to commit to an area where you're willing to look for trades if we do something, right? And you have to be willing to lose that amount of money in that area, right? Like that it just is what it is. Like I am looking for trades once I see we have a trapped buyer, we flip a certain pivot, I am then willing to have this area as my risk as long as we're defending it. And like if I want that perfect entry at 36, like I probably could have gotten it with a limit, right? Like I see that as an opportunity. I see that we retested it and I could have gotten in if I had better execution, because that was our area of interest. But I also know that if we hold that area, it won't fucking matter if my fill is 10 points below because I'm looking for a huge rotation because we have a trap trader as a catalyst, right? So it becomes more about where does this trade invalidate for me? And it has anything invalidated, or is everything playing to the T, right? Like if everything's playing, I'm going to mark it into the trade because we have all of the variables that I need. You get me? Like I don't want to not be in a trade that I knew was going to happen and I knew the reaction was going to happen, right? That's met all of my criteria just because I didn't get a limit fill. Like that's when I'm going to start being incredibly emotional because I now missed an opportunity that I was looking at and waiting for the last 40 minutes, right? So it's like I have to just have risk on in an area that I care about following my plan and I have to go from there. And if I'm worried about getting the perfect fill, then I've kind of already lost in a sense because I know what my expectations are if we flip value, right? Like we identified this buyer's trapped off sides. We identified that there's some absorption happening here into these highs of our value. We flip below our value low. So as long as we're holding now this pivot at our value loaded POC of this range, and Russell is holding below as well, like I know that we have the catalyst and we now have the potential for the momentum to continue on our way. So it's like, why wouldn't I take that risk when I see that push below? I'm willing to lose $500 on that because I know that this trade can make me thousands, right? So like it's a worthwhile cause because I know I'm going to be wrong very quickly if I don't see that reaction where I want. And I've already my setup is playing, right? Our catalyst is there. We have track buyer. I know that we have full market participation, right? I know that we flipped our value and I have a very clear area of interest that I'm looking to trade. So like I'll mark it in. But yeah, like I said, like I've talked about this before. You might not have seen it because you're not in the Discord, but like
The Russell 2000 index drops to a 2-week low, last down
the
around 2.4%.
the reason people panic in trades or look for perfect entries is because they can't handle their drawdown within their trade, right? It's because you're over leveraged or your expectations aren't in alignment with the risk that you're putting on. But if you have an understanding of what you're risking and what that's going to cost you if you're wrong,
Bitcoin falls below
like
$60,000
you
for the
play
first time
that,
since October 2024.
right? Like that's you have to know what to expect on both sides of the trade. And so like if you're willing, in an area, I mean, I didn't have to play a mini there. I could have been playing, 5 micros instead. But I know that if we get this breakdown, it's just going to be a nice continuation trade that's going to result in a nice move. Again, like it's only because it's met our criteria, right? Like we saw them get absolutely ruined into those highs. And we can see that on our delta as well, right? Like we can see them getting taken in on here, like I'll show this again, but like we know that the market found that bounce when Russell found that low at that VPOC, and then we got our continuation up, right, where we chopped sideways. But like we're in an overall trend down, right? So like all I'm looking for is someone to get trapped into our highs, and then I'm looking for the breakdown and hold. So like what is happening here on the 15 on our delta, right? Like what's actually happening here? Well, we've got this huge sell side that's pushed us down. We're seeing buyers try here into these highs, failing to actually get above our pivot after we've trapped. And then we're seeing them also then fail on our look below. So it's like, to me, I'm seeing that continuation down and I'm seeing like actual desire to move. And again, like we've already identified that these guys are a bit screwed here. And then it's just about like holding our low and reoffering. And as soon as we see that, again, like the risk makes sense for the reward at that point to me. But that's because I have a plan and I have an understand. Right. Well, it's not about like what Basil just said, like having confidence, faith in the trade zone pathing sort of helps too, right? But like, why do I have confidence, right? Like, what did we talk about in that post that I wrote? Why is there a certain level of confidence? It's because I've been doing this for a really long time. Like I know my system. I know the risk when I put it on. I understand what it looks like when I'm wrong. I understand what it looks like when I'm right, right? And I understand that if I lose, that's okay. It's not the end of the world because I will be able to make up that loss because I have a system in which I'm following that is profitable, right? It has a positive expectancy. So I will put risk on once my criteria is met because the risk is just part of it, right? Like losses are fucking a part of it. And if you think that you're going to have a 100% win rate, when you get good at this, right? You've already lost the battle. You have to initiate on trades, right? And you have like losing trades is just part of it. It just is what it is. And if you can't accept, right, that you're going to lose some trades, then you're not going to close out on losing trades and you're going to nuke your account. You have to have confidence in your system to know that over time, right, over days, over weeks, over months, that you are profitable with your system if you stick to it. And if I lose that trade and I lose $500 there, that's not the end of the world because I'll make up for it on the next trade. Or maybe I don't, right? But I'll make up for it on the trade after that or the trade after that. And it'll work itself out. I'm not scared that I'm going to blow up my account off of a single trade. The only way I do that is if I don't close and I know that it's invalidated, right? Because I'm too scared to take a loss because of ego. That's the importance. It's like I forward and back tested my strategy. I played it so much. I know that over time it wins. So initiating shouldn't be stressful. It sucks when you lose, right? It does suck. But like it's not fight or flight for me because I know that we'll be able to do something new as soon as, like, if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. I'm repeating myself now, but like it's a really important concept that I think a lot of people like forget is that you'll always lose, man. Like you never get over losing, right? Like there's no professional athlete wins every match that they've ever played in, right? No professional gambler wins every tournament they're ever in, right? There's too many uncontrollable variables in the market. But what you can do is control, right, your entry, your criteria if you're going to actually take a trade, right? Your risk. These are the things that are actually controllable. And so if I'm following that and I'm not taking random garbage, right, then it makes sense that over time I am compounding and making money, right? Because I'm controlling the things that are within, my domain. Hopefully that makes sense. It's like once you realize that, like that's a huge step for you as a trader. Once you like get that the ego out of the way and you're like, oh yeah, no, it met my criteria and I'm only taking trades that meet my criteria where, X, Y, and Z happen, and now I'm just playing within my risk, right? Yeah, it was a good short, Rory. Huge trade.
The
Sorry, I
S&P
was yapping.
500 extending losses, now down 1.65%.
But like again, like the reason you get so scared when you're in a losing trade is either because you're trading too much leverage, right? You're trying to make too much and trying to do too much at a time, or you haven't back tested and forward tested your system enough where you don't know if you actually have edge and if you're going to be able to make money over time, right? Because if not, then there's no reason for you to be scared if you know, like, oh yeah, like this has it's meeting all my criteria, it was worthwhile taking, and maybe the trade doesn't play, but it was still a good trade for you to try, right? Because it met all of your criteria and you should be proud of yourself for taking it and stopping out and it being okay. Like it happens. No one has 100% win rate, but just trade your plan, trade the things that make you money. Just micros, dude. Just micros in this market is huge money. I mean, 620 into 550 is a huge trade for 30 seconds of work. Yeah, 500 bones. Indeed. You got this VPOC on ES at 64. That might be interesting. I don't know. Hopefully what I was just saying resonates with some of you, because I know that like a lot of you do incredibly well multiple days in a row, and then you shit the bed one day and then it just like all falls apart, right? And that's just because like you're still not just like I mean I don't actually know exactly why it is, but I would assume that a lot of it is from you trading things that you don't understand, right? You're either taking trades that don't make sense to you, right? So you don't know when to close because you don't know when you're wrong, and because of that you're unable to know um what's good, what's bad, right? And so your body goes into that fight or flight, right? It becomes a very scary situation instead of a controlled situation, right? That's the difference. There's a difference between like something sporadically happening to you that you weren't aware of or you weren't prepared for, and then there's the other situation, which is I understand what I'm doing. I understand the risk that I'm putting on. I understand where this can invalidate, and I am willing to take that, right? Those are very different mindsets than just like, oh, I'm shorting a random level, and if it goes against me, oh shit, what do I do? What do I do? What do I do? Right? Like, that's a very different thing than being like, this is what I want to see happen. This is why I think it can happen, and this is where I want it to go. That's a huge difference than just like, yeah, I shorted that level, and what is this? Right? Like, that mentality shift is you switching from that like fight or flight instincts where you lock up and you can't close a trade, and you being prepared and willing to take that loss and understanding that it happens and you followed your plan and that was a good thing and the plan invalidated, and that's okay. Now you wait for your next setup, right? Morning, Cass. It's not just you. It's literally everyone, right? Like, that's the thing, is like, you need to know, like, if you can cut out all the bullshit, if you can cut out, again, I have talked about this at length, but like, your job is to trade your plan, trade your risk, trade what you think is going to happen in the market, and not take anything else, right? Hands off until you see something. Because the more trades that you can limit, right, the less trades that you take, the less risk you have on in the market. So the more educated trades, right, the more trades that you are taking that meet your criteria and that are within your plan, right? They're not just random discretionary garbage. They're mechanical setups, right? The less variance that you have within your system, the less variance you have within your risk profile, right, in your P&L, the easier it will be for you to make money. Right? You can trade some beautiful mechanical setups, and then the last couple trades of the day are impulsive board buys, right? FOMO buys, and you blow up all of your gains for the day and give it all back. And then you start chasing to make it back up, right? Now you're in this battle where you're losing all of what you've done on the day, right? You've all of that good work that you did, all of the mechanical setups, all of that work that you did is now gone because you're now in this fight or flight where I have to make it back. I have to make it back. I fucked up. Now I got to fix it immediately. Right? Like, that's the opposite mentality you need to have. So what we want to do is try to eliminate as many of those controllable inputs, bad inputs, right? If we can do that, then we minimize the amount of potential bad outputs. And then we're only trading within our plan, right? And we know that our plan works over time. We just have to limit what we do to fuck ourselves. Right? Like, you know that you can pass an eval. You passed an eval. You can do that. Don't think about the money. Play your setups, right? Don't worry about the payout goal. Just build your account. Play what makes sense. Play what's within your structure, within your rules that you've created for yourself. And when things don't start, when things feel bad and they don't make sense to you, step away. You don't have to force a trade. There'll be another opportunity tomorrow, right? You have to remind yourself of that this is not a short 100-meter race. It's a marathon, right? And there are going to be multiple days. There are going to be multiple opportunities. And if today sucks, stop trying to force today to be good. It sucks. Get over it. There's tomorrow. There won't be a tomorrow, though, if you continue to try to force trades in an environment that you are incapable of trading, right? That's the important thing, is that realization. Like, oh, I don't need to be the best every day. I can just leave. I can walk away when things don't make sense for me. Because what's more important? It's more important that I survive for the potential better day that's going to be tomorrow, right? Where my setups make sense and they hit over and over and over again. But if I blow up my account today, then I have zero opportunity. But it's really hard to tell yourself in the moment. And that's why I preach creating, right, coping strategies, being able to understand when you start to get in that situation where when you start to FOMO trade and impulsive trade and revenge trade, right? You need to be able to catch yourself either before it's happening, right when you start to feel that way, that little instinct. You have to be like, okay, fuck, I need to walk away for a minute. because I am starting to be incredibly impulsive and I have the
US
potential
two-year
to
yield
blow
extends its
up
climb,
everything that I've been
rising
working on,
13 basis points to 4.17%.
right? You have to be so honest with yourself. There's no room for you to have an ego. All right, sorry. I will continue to try to find trades. Got a little yappy there. It looks like we're playing within the we got this guy who got taken in at 82, and then we have this buyer who's trying to defend 74 right now here on ES. So we're just watching to see what we do in this structure that we just created. Just put a note on that. Or sorry, put a fixed range on that. You can see our 74 participant and our 82 guy. Little bounce on Russell, so we come back up into our previous 15-minute candle POC. Very clear offer into these highs. LVN that we created. Got a VPOC down at 64s. And NQ is coming up into our previous 15 POC as well. And it looks like we would have to show interest below 70 and then offer for downside to make sense, or that's where that bid will try to defend on the value of the last candle and this current candle on our 15. Very clear that they're taking in size down there and willing to defend so far. Yeah, of course, Jason. And when I talk about that stuff, like it's for me as well, man. Like I said before, this shit doesn't change, right? You just become more willing to accept it once you start to see that it actually works, right? That's the key. Like this is a constant battle. This battle doesn't go away, right? But your strategies become stronger and stronger, and you become more confident in them because you see it working, right? And that's the important thing, is like the ability, the confidence in your edge, right, is so key, because you need to know that it works over time and that you will be okay. The ability to lessen your stress in the moment by having a plan, by you know uh building out the scenarios for both sides, right? Understanding your risk. When things are known, they're much easier to deal with than the unknown. You know what I mean? Does that make sense? Like I hopefully it does. Like that should be a pretty basic concept to understand. But like when you take a random impulsive trade, like no wonder it sucks when you get scared, because you don't understand why it's not working, and now it's like, oh fuck, this is a huge loss, right? Like I hope it at least comes back to break even. I'll try to add to it. I'll try to add to it. Like, but because you don't have a clear grasp of why you're in a trade in the first place, or why it didn't work, or what's happening, and that's okay, right? Like, but like you need to just understand that it's not worth it to try to stay in something like that. You're gonna blow up. Have a little faith in yourself that you're gonna be able to make that up with your next trade, right? Like with the next setup. You have to have a plan. And when you create that structure, right, for your life, for your trade, for everything, right? Structure allows you to not, when those situations do arise, right, you're prepared, at least more prepared than you would be if you had done nothing and you had no expectations in the first place, right? It's just when you get blindsided by shit, that's when you go into that fight or flight mode, and then it's over because your rational brain is gone. right? So you need to do everything in your power to try to maintain your rational brain while you're doing this, because as soon as you lose it, it's GG, right? You blow up your account, because now you're going to overtrade, you're going to panic, you're going to try to buy it back, because you're in a completely different mindset. A different part of your brain has now taken control, right? It's no longer the rational brain. Yeah, it was a really nice trap into those highs. I think we go to 64 on ES. I don't know what happens here into 520 though. I think that we find a little liquidity as we dip into this. I think you'll have another opportunity. We retest maybe like 550 from our 520, and then we watch to see what happens. We've got a V pocket 64 on ES, Russell double bottoming. I think this 520 was a really good target. And then we watch to see how we build here. Oops. We have a lot of wicking that happened into these lows. So if 520 flips, then we can head down into 490. And then we have targets into 440 below 90. But I think 20 and then 50 offer potentially, and then continuation down to 490. I don't know. I'm just playing off of our 15-minute chart from our previous auction that was here. All right, we're just trending down, holding POC from previous candle as resistance, right? And trapping into highs and then continuing. Watching to see what we do. I think there's going to be a reaction here at 64s, like I said, on ES. That'll then give us a reoffer, hopefully. My fib target, Rory, is for NQ is 450, 455. My fib target for ES is 57s based off that 15-minute. So that's probably, yeah. I don't know. I got to see something new because I was too busy yapping again, so I missed this. 64 and then 56 and then 48 for ES. We have these levels done. Yeah, man, I'm telling you, you don't need big size today to make money. You're getting so much volatility. It's beautiful. That's stacked.
Hello, everybody.
Yo.
What a move.
Yeah, man.
Moving. Very interested to see what ES does in this range. Comes a little bit lower. That may value.
What's wrong, Rory?
Hello, Rory. Rory's just accepted that he has no reason to be friends with me if I don't provide him alpha for training.
Yeah.
So he's like, I don't know. It's not really sadness. It's more of like,
Unlucky.
it's like losing your star employee, you know? Like,
Yeah.
you know, he's gonna have to actually do something.
WTI falls $3 a barrel.
That's literally the only reason I have that 15-minute on for that. Is I told you that's usually my hard time frame target. It's just the stacked fib on the 15. They're so good, man. Oh, okay. Well, you think you're cool?
Does.
You trying to one up me, bud? The fuck? Man, I've got it on the hourly. How do you feel about that? Yeah, true. Goat time frames, the 42 and 68 minute.
Yep.
What was the other one? It was like the 98.
There's something, yeah.
There's some Julian time frames.
What a time. What a time to be alive.
Hmm. All right, what are we doing here? Hey, what is this? What's happening? I'm guessing that if we find a bid here at 500, we rotate back up to 550. That's my guess, but let's see what they do. This area is key on ES. This 69 to 73 is where you want to see that absorption happen. If they're going to hold this thing down. If not, then we'll rotate back up on the recovery of 73s. Watching our 500 here on the old NQ on retest. When we're in like this like dramatic trend down, it's the same as when we were looking at like trend up. It's just like look at where the previous low was and just put a fucking line in there, man. Like when we're in like extreme trend down, Like, it doesn't usually need to be more complicated than that. I'm not going to lie to you. So I'm just looking at this value to our previous low as our area of interest where we're watching, right? We can see a little bit of a node that we built there, but also it's just like trend. ES is usually pretty good with that. Same thing on Russell, right? Just trend down. Holy volatility. You just leave it, man. What do you mean? It's just making you money. Just trail it. What do you mean? We're pushing into our fib target here at 450 on NQ. And into where these wick lows were before. Watch to see what happens into the 435, 450 area. The last time we were here, we bottom up real quick. Failure to hold that area, I would assume that we then go down to that liquidity down at 400. I mean, I don't know about that, but yeah, I mean, I think that's good. And then we just watch to see what we do here into this. Again, these are just where those wick lows were last. If we don't do that, then we're back into this lower auction. And then all we have to do for targets is just literally put a fixed range on this. And then we highlight this as a balance by making it gray. Then we highlight POC to value low like that. Nothing crazy. This is a fib target on ES and NQ. That means literally nothing until proven otherwise, but I'm just mentioning it to see if we find any reactions here. This is also just where that liquidity was on NQ, so I'm interested to see if they are willing to defend here at 435, 450, and into this 56 on ES. New 15's in and I'm in at 20. A little bit of slowdown here into our zone, but nothing crazy yet. Into our 56 here on ES. Just watching our retest.
US stocks extending full with the Nasdaq now down 3%.
I have no one to be playing with here. I need to see some sort of like reoffer for me to get in personally. We're just trending down, just melting. So I would love to at least see if we can find something here into 450. Watching this 45 to 60 is a potential area of risk. New 15's opening now.
As ES comes into this 50, this is our primary edge in this huge node from May.
How can I learn your model? Just hang out. I stream 3 days a week for your free. There's your target into 380 from our 45 offer.
The IAEA say they were informed of a serious incident during today's demining phase of the agreed localized ceasefire area near the Zaporizhia nuclear plant. It says that some Russian military personnel were injured.
RTY has another VPOC here at 47.7 that I'm interested in. We just got our rotation here back to this balance that we just found. We're keeping our eye here, see what we do. So we push down into that. Got our bounce here at our 48 to 56 on ES. So a big pivot here. And if we can get back below 380s, I think we have room to run on NQ personally. But this is our range edge that we just talked about. So let's see what they do here now that we tagged into that. Yeah, I mean, if we rotate, if we get below 380, then we have this range to 245 to 175 if we can get back into this auction, I think, but we'll see. I think that you're going to get a pretty strong reaction into this, and we're going to chop here for a little bit. And then if we can start to like hold this, then we can go down. I mean, I don't know, man. I haven't seen a buyer yet, bro. I don't know. I just saw them take in at 45s, right? We can see that. And then they're trying to get stuffed again here at 415, 420 on NQ. So if they want to do that as well into 420, like they did into 45s, that would be your most bearish continuation potential here, getting absorbed into this 20 to 15. We'll watch to see what they do here. But that is where they're attempting to hold. You can literally see that on the 15 with the POC to value there, right? Let's watch this offer, see if they continue to take into this 410, 430 area, 420, or if this will flip and we'll do something new. You can see them absorbing into it, yeah. So until we like flip back over 60 and bid, I just think that they're gonna try to stuff here. Good bid so far on our ES pivot. Little bounce on Russell. Just wait for it to find a level of resistance, and then that'll give you your next entry if we're going to continue downwards. I would assume it would be at our halfway back around 58s if it was going to do it. Just watch this 45
In
to
10
60
minutes
on
time now
retest
at the top of the hour. See the
on
release of the
NQ.
US Baker Hughes total rig count. Prior read 562, while oil rigs saw a prior of 429.
I would not look for a short continuation until Russell loses momentum. It's a good way to save yourself from blowing up. And we watched this 20 bid that's trying to happen here. We're stuck between the 45, 60 absorption and that guy at 20 who's trying to take in and hold to the higher low that we were just talking about. So in an ideal world, right, sell side is going to try to hold this and then rotate us back below and then go for something like that after a failure here. Bid is going to try to hold this, get over, and then go for continuation. We just watch for Russell to lose momentum, and then we figure out what we want to do. That's at least what I'm seeing right now. Let's see what they do. RTY higher low. Watching Russell as we push into our halfway back. Offers sitting at 59.70 right now on Dom on Russell. Just as we push into our halfway back. NQ into our 60 where we're trying to flip. Bid was able to hold our higher low at our 20. If they can do the 60 push, then we have room for continuation potential. First target would be 88 into POC, and then our value high at 530 if 60 can hold. I gotta delete this so that I can move the chart, sorry. Again, you don't short until Russell loses momentum and very clearly shows that. It's just where the bid is resting right until then. You're back to your offer here on ES. If there's one way that you want to save your fucking account, just wait for Russell to lose momentum. That ES at 50 was super reactive. Yeah, well, look what this is. It's a big area here. This is a retest of our POC where we got that huge bounce on the last test. Oh no, sorry. This is down here. This is our support from our multi-week balance. Sorry about that. Right. So like this area is going to be pretty reactive for a while. This 450, 420. It's the mid of our balance. But I mean, again, like I don't know what else we do from there. It's just like double POCs here. Big ass node. So we might need to come into this, right? This is just our value to POC of that that previous, right into here. Maybe we need to come back up and retest this bell high before we do more. Not sure. hit our first target, headed up to our second target here with Russell continuation off that low. ES into our previous absorption here into 470 to 475.
In 5 minutes time now, at the top of the hour, we see the release of the Baker Hughes weekly rig count. Total rigs saw a prior read of 562, oil rigs a prior of 429.
Watching ES here, I think that's the best 60 to 69 to 70, like 74 is our area where we're watching to see if we flip or if this is going to hold and then we get back below or not. I don't know. Just keeping an eye on it. Again, as long as Russell's continuing to push, like you're just shit out of luck. But this is a good area to look on ES for sure. And then we watch our halfway back again to see if we're going to bounce here on Russell for push up to value. Or if this will do nothing new. Good hold so far off of our offer that we were talking about before, but watching now to see what we do as we push back down into this pivot on ES. POC to value of that candle. Just watching. Does this hold the higher low with Russell here? Same thing with NQ here at our 45 to 60. We'll see. This is the first like real absorption we've seen on NQ into this 90. We just haven't seen sellers willing to step down yet. Probably below like 450, 460 is what you would need, like we have labeled. Right, we have no right side of V yet. There's no reason to be a panicky player right now, right? Well, when we do build the right side of V, it'll be great. Until then, right, it's just a reversion back to our sell side POC to 15-minute structure, right? Like that's all this is with Russell running. And now we wait to see if Russell's going to be able to build out that higher low, if we can hold these, or if we're going to continue to just kind of like maintain here and then need to build out again. Again, like our first signs of absorption have started to happen here into 490 on NQ with this lower high, just into this right POC, a previous candle, but there's been no shift yet. We're just watching to see if we get these bounces across the board or if this guy's going to remain off sides and then rotate us down off of it.
So shortly expecting the US Baker Hughes rig count.
Yeah, then they're trying, right? But Russell's still continuing to push. So your risk is basically like that high. and you're looking to see if we continue to take in from that high to this 90, and same thing with this ES and to our 70 to 74. Just watch Russell. So far, it's bouncing and holding the higher low though. So you basically want to be looking to see if this like 90 to 510 on NQ is going to maintain the lower high, and that's your risk if you're trying to short back down to 460. But like again, like our 460, 445 is where that bid is resting, like we have labeled. You're just balanced between these two on the open of the new 15. So this would be your first risk off.
Total
You're
rig
playing
count
that 90.
563. Oil rig count 431. 431.
Right, because we've identified this participant, and now we have to flip this if we want more, or they will continue to try to bid here, and it's just this auction between your 490, 510, right, and then this 60 to 45, while Russell maintains higher low, and ES bids here at this 65, 64 area, and our 70, 74 above. I'm taking off my first risk here on ES into our pivot from our highs, our 70 to 74. Watching to see if we can flip. Same thing with NQ. No change yet, but watching. Market double topped on Russell. That allowed for the market to then find weakness, right? We wait for that, and then all of a sudden we play our main pivots. We find and identify someone who's offsides. We then play around them, right? Wait for a setup. There's literally no need to ever FOMO. And then we, secondary PT here for ES is this 56 to 54, where we found Bowers last. And ES here at our 27 to 410 or whatever you want to call it. Just this lower distribution where we made the first higher low, right? That's what you're watching. And I think it's always worthwhile to put like a fixed range off of those areas. So you can see that as well, of like how we're developing that, why we're looking here for that first PT. And then we watch like the re-offer of those areas if you're going to play it. Yeah, I mean, you're just watching to see if Russell is going to make a lower high, I think. I'm not sure. And it's just reactive between our known buyer and our known seller right now until we figure it out. Just building out a node. I mean, I would like to see 60. I'm not in the NQ trade. I'm in the ES trade, so I'm not paying attention to it as much. But yeah, 60 for sure is where you're going to be watching now that I'm looking. Yeah, very similar movement. Same pivot. Big seller swept down below 60 into our 50s. Now tempting here. And we saw some absorption into our 420 like we talked about. Yeah, which makes sense. Like if you look at our 15-minute candle, right, we're traversing between the value of that candle right now. This is our value low. This is our value high to POC, right? We just traversed that range. This is why it's our target. And if we can flip below this value, right, then we have potential for continuation. Until then, right, we're just into that low pocket. And we watch to see what they do. But we just identified this guy, saw them get taken in, play off that lower high, and then play the rotation back through, and then allows you to then get that movement with pretty tight risk as soon as we see Russell settle.
SIBO volatility index
Yes,
jumps over
into our-
2-week high, last up about 3.32 points
Off
at
as
about
well.
18.72.
Right, we just
Hi,
wait.
Mikey. Sorry.
What'd you say?
I said hi, Mikey.
Oh,
I thought you were
yeah.
done. My bad.
But yeah, no, we just wait for our first signs of an actual pivot and wait for Russell to lose momentum, and then we're in a much better situation. Yeah. That's fine. You'll be all right. But you did see it. That's good. I think that this was pretty solid risk here. If you're willing to just have this 890 to 510, like I was talking about with this POC. But I totally understand if you were unwilling to take. Yeah, same thing on ES with this POC here, where we saw that seller step down. It's just like really interesting area to me, with both NQ and ES showing signs there. And what's great is like that offered two sides, right? Like that was we found a really nice bid, and then we found a really nice offer for the higher low for the rotation up to that area, and then we identified them getting taken in, and then it was like, oh, okay, we're gonna be playing around these two participants, right? We were able to identify that live after finding that higher low bounce, pathing that where we were gonna go, and then identifying the two participants that we were playing around, and then watching for the flip. It's like a pretty solid rotation, all things considered. And I don't know what's going to happen here into this low. If Russell continues to maintain, then I don't know if it'll matter. Oof. We'll see. Oof, sorry. Yeah, I mean, that would be nice, but I'm not seeing it yet. I think it's going to be 420 to like 435 is what you're looking for. If we can hold that and then sweep, yeah, that'd be good. Take out lows, maybe head to 390. The Blue Origin rocket failure. True. I don't know. I don't like the Russell divergence. I'd like to see it break below this halfway back for us to get the real continuation. I think they try to take in here into 420 to 435, and if they can succeed in their absorption here, and then we see a sweeper below, then we're good. But if not, like, we just got to respect that we're still range trading, and this buyer is still present down here for the short term. Right, like I'm watching this. Are we going to be able to hold POC to value of this distribution here? And then rotate down. And then like, why is 390 our target? Well, 390, 400, it's this low where this value was. So you'd be watching to see, are we now holding this, right? And this lower distribution, and can we head down here? That's the entire premise of what I'm saying. It's just like, oh, we're back into this little auction down here. Okay, well, let's traverse through it, and then let's figure out what we want to do from there. And like ES is just lagging, right? Like we're still just trading within the value of that candle, right? Just like we did on NQ. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No, I was just gonna say for a squeeze, like you really want to see an excess trap first.
Yeah.
I wouldn't think about it until then.
I'm flat here on ES. And then we'll watch to see what happens. If we can flip this pivot or if this is going to hold these lows. Just risked off into the value of our last candle. Like we circled here. Or not really a circle, but you get what I mean. Just into this. From our area into this. Just rotation between. I think if you played off of 84 or the 45 to 60, it's a great risk off. And then you just try to leave a runner. But it seems like we're still a bit rotational until Russell loses our pivot, and it's just the same buyers. So again, we'll see what happens. But I liked these pie pivots, especially once we identified this guy on NQ at our 89 to 510, and just this ES pivot here at 70 to 74. And now just let's see if something new happens. But pretty solid rotation. New 15s just opened, opening at POC of previous candle. Holding POC a previous candle on ES and on NQ as resistance, pushing down into our lows. Russell starting to follow, holding our halfway back as resistance and back below our 58s, rotating down. If we don't get the next leg here relatively soon, I'm gonna dip, because I think that this could technically be our low of the day.
According to sources, US states
If we
are
don't get it
preparing a
soon.
lawsuit to block Paramount's acquisition of Warner Bros.
Or at least where we just like build out balance.
This is, I mean, like I said, for ES, this is the top edge of our May balance. It's literally just a return to mean, so
Yeah.
it would make sense to hang out.
This like 48 to 53 area. I was just watching to see how we continue to take in there on ES. I'll be right back. Is it just me, or is it looking pretty bottomy? And did you just not listen to Mario and I when we said it could be? I don't see anything until we push below that 48 to 53 on ES, and same thing with this 380 on NQ, right? Like we're holding that range. So I think you can just like chop here for a bit. Again, like on the higher time frame, this is like big support that we have marked, right?
Rory, you know how like every day I post the intraday and you say, "What is this wall of text? Why would I ever read this?" No, this is your last chance to read it, man. And maybe answer your questions.
So full value rotation here on NQ from our 450, or sorry, from on ES at our 453, rotation back up to 65s. Yeah, I mean, nothing crazy here. We identified the ranges. Let's see what they do. We would need to pretty clearly show interest over these participants here. They're trying to recover this range low right now at 430. Let's see what they do. You're basically looking for buyers to try to defend like 410 to 430 on NQ right now for the higher low, to then rotate back up to 490 if they're gonna do it. You're just watching to see how they take into this and see if there's a decent initial reaction and then pop back up, or if this fails here on the look back in. So far, pretty strong reaction off that 410, but no ability to lift over 430 yet. That's where the offer sits. see if they can do it, or if it's just gonna kind of just be two-sided.
Seeing shares of Paramount down almost 4%. Warner Bros. Shares all falling about 2% after reports that the US states are preparing a lawsuit to block Paramount's acquisition of the company.
And they're really trying to flip this 30. And so far it looks okay. They're decent size coming in. I think it has room to 60 if we can hold here on retest. Let's see what they do. It's got to be quick. No desire here is just going to trap these guys over. New 15s NQ opening at our 430, which is POC of their previous 15 now. In our POC to value right now, where they're trying to build. Again, if they can't successfully do this, this is going to be an incredible trap. They need to be able to sustain here. It's got to be a just tight stop. I think 60 at least happens, but it's not as great as I wanted it to be.
Warren calls on the NVIDIA president to testify on June 11th. So again, Warren calls on the NVIDIA president to testify on June 11th.
There's just so much absorption on ES into 66s. It's very hard for us to do anything of note. It sucks. Yeah, but they're just still willing to take in into the 66 to 70, but it was a good POC hold at that 59. I just tagged my first tier into 60. Yeah, we just watched to see how we react into that absorption here again, into that like 89, 510 area. Move your stop to I think like break even now from instead of 410, just 430. Or whatever your level is, I don't know. This is gonna be my last trade. It's slowing down. Not for me. I'm glad this worked, but it took a bit longer than I wanted. Pushing into our top edge here, second PT. If you played off of our 430, 410, Just rotation of our value off that hold. Failure to get below 410s and do anything of use. Just pushing back up into our highs here. This is that POC to value that we were playing off of from the that look below. Same thing with ES here into your 70-74. Watch to see if they continue to take or if that's all you get. You can try to leave a runner, but you know, it's up to you. Potential for a full range rotation if we fail. If we hold, then potential for this being the low of day and you go up forever. You know, I don't have an answer. There's so much
To the
absorption
moon.
here on NQ, so it's like you'll be in a much better spot once we show interest over this like 520, 490 area. Until then, it's just gonna be rough. But I think if you can get over 520, you've got room to 560, 580. That would be my guess. Because then you rotate this range we were trading in earlier. But yeah, you got to get over 520 or it's kind of meaningless. But if we do, then let me build out these. I would say 580 feels pretty likely into this area. And then yeah, I can do this. But we'll see. Again, there's so much fucking absorption here into the 90 to 520. Just gonna have to show interest over that first. Banana bread guy. What does that mean? What does that mean?
I don't know what that means.
But here's that rotation that we just did based off of like what we were looking at and why I'm looking at these areas. I hope that makes sense. Right, we're seeing this absorption into these highs, into this 490, 520, and then we can see this flip that happened here at our 410, 430. It's just Sethmo's delta bubbles. And you can see like that absorption into these highs. Like it's just gonna be rough, bro. Like it's gonna be really rough to try to get over that. It's just gonna be rough, man. Full rotation back down to our 430 here. Yeah. That's why I was like, I'm out. Like it's such an easy trade once we know we're going, right? Like don't be greedy. Here, like I'm gonna update that chart that I just posted because like you can like look at that, right? Like yeah. But like if buyers are back, right, like this is where they'll be. And then you've got your balance where it's like if buy side's here and then we look above, that looks good. But if they fail off of, if we don't see an active bid step in here and they can't get all the way back up, right? And then we reject into, let's say, this LVN that's here instead, and we can't do the full rotation from an active participant here at our 430, 410. And let's say this like 450, 460 now holds offer where they were before. Like watch this. This is where that offer was sitting before, right? So if they hold that and then we flip below, that would be like a good sign that we don't have what we need to continue. But if we can hold here and then we show a sustained bid, I would then be looking for potentially that shift over that 20. That's how at least how I approach these kind of situations after we test into our target. It's like, okay, well, are these guys now still active here? Are they willing to take? Or is this just like super hard resistance into our top edge of this profile that we're currently trading in? And is there just no desire? So we watch for desire here, of course, into our bottom of range. And then we watch, is the sell side willing to not even allow this to come back up, right? Is this going to reoffer here and then rotate down off of this? That'd be pretty bearish. Or
Trump says he would like to see low interest rates.
can we see that lift above for that breakout?
So it's
And-
not clear as to where he's speaking at the moment. Or if we do find a video, we'll pop it out. Mind he is traveling, so he may be speaking before he's traveling.
But that's usually how I approach like a balance play like this when we have like a clear take in the highs. Like, oh, is there an interest here? Because if there is, then we'll look here and then here. If there's no interest and this like looks pretty lackluster so far, then it's just like moot until we trap someone below and then we figure out if we then go again or not. So let's see what they do. But y'all have a good weekend. Later, Basil.
I
Sig, so just ask for trend? I don't understand.
he has to press enter like 4 more times.
Please hold. Okay. Give him a
Trump says
speech.
that it will lead rate cut to wash during October meeting.
I'm going to be talking with Mario every day until he starts ignoring me. He's not going
Sounds
anywhere.
like the next 80 years.
Yeah. Like
Give him a speech.
this is not the last day I will be talking to him.
No. I might purposefully block some of you, but it's like, whereas while Rory's typing, let me
Ali, are you in the Discord? NQ's on a 2-minute chart and a 1-minute chart. I'm not using a 5. Set your threshold to 100. On I mean, I don't really think it's necessary, but yeah, 100. You're not in the Discord? Okay, well, unlucky. Here, I sent this to our dear friend Roger.
Trump says, I wouldn't mind if Wash cut interest rate.
I wouldn't mind. Here, boys. So that we don't, you can just, this is like a work in progress, yeah, but this is my full workspace in Tradeify.
So this is Trump speaking aboard plane on his way to Wisconsin. We'll see if we can get an Air Force casual video
Scanson.
feed.
He's going to see Ty and Aram. They didn't let me know that. Great.
Genuine question above.
We do have the video. We'll pop it out for
It
you
wasn't
shortly.
that genuine of a question.
When trading down like this, we look for initial buyers and then trap for continuation, right? I mean, like, that's the only way I look for a trade in general, to be honest. It's just the only thing that makes sense. Like, if you don't have a catalyst you're trading around, like, you're just kind of like trading a level to trade a level, right? So, like, I always am going to look for...
We have posted out the video where you can listen to him speaking live.
Some sort of, like, larger participant that I feel has potential to move the market, either against them, right, or towards where they want to go, right? Like, it's an auction, right? So, like, I need to see people showing participation, and then, like, once we see initial, then yeah, like, I'd love to be able to play off of that. But yeah, I mean, like, in these moves down, go back and like look at every single one of our continuation legs on NQ that had meaning, right? It's been like a trapped buyer and then like a pretty clear continuation down on every single one of these legs on NQ so far that have had meaning, right? I mean, sometimes like the bid is just not present and it's just sell, right, in our original trend. But like when we find like better re-entries, like it's always going to be off of a trap participant. At least for me, because like, again, like it goes back to the conversation I was having earlier, where it's like, when are you going to know you're wrong if you're not playing around that guy, right? Like if you don't see that, like let's say it's a delta bubble or it's your delta histogram or it's like a trader that's outside of a value area and then we look back into value, like all of those are like initial signals for me of like, oh, there's potentially something
so it's correction
happening.
from Major Newswire that Trump said it wouldn't mind if Polt cut
Right.
stuff.
And then I want to be trading around them. I want to be reflexive around that person or that point of interest that I now see. It's like, oh, okay, this is now a level of interest. And as long as that is holding and we're reacting around it, right, off of it, now I can go and watch DOM or I can watch Footprint and see if I'm seeing secondary sellers step in to keep and maintain that person off sides, either on the
Tim's
low
timer
or the high
expecting comments
outside
from
of
Bank of
value.
England's Governor
or-
Bailey speaking Scotland in a conversation with Ed Balls and Stephanie Flanders at the 250th anniversary of the Wealth of Nations in Kirkcaldy, Scotland.
Right, like that,
Trump on
that's-
gasoline
I don't know.
prices says we have a lot of alternatives.
That just seems like objectively you have to have something like that as your catalyst, right? That's the thing that I was talking about, like that catalyst for a move. And it's like, in my opinion, it's probably not worth your time if we don't have one of those catalysts, because you don't know how long that trade is going to take without someone to drive the market in the direction that you want to go. Like we might eventually get to that point, but do I want to be in a choppy trade or a trade where I can't see someone like clearly participating right now actively? Probably not. Like I don't, at least. I'd like my trades to happen relatively quickly, so I know if I'm right relatively quickly, so I can take off risk as fast as possible, right? Because every time you have a position open, that's risk on in the market. So like I want my narrative to play very quickly or be wrong very quickly. It's so much mental capital if your narrative, doesn't play and then, or like doesn't play for like 30 minutes and then it does, but you've like been watching it now for 30 minutes in like that heightened anxiety state. Like that does a toll on your body, man. So like I'm trying to find like the catalyst to play around so that we then have a pretty quick move so that we can get in and out if we need be, and I don't have to, be at the edge of my seat. Is that pinned? No, it's not. It's a work in progress. It's just something I sent to Rory. But if you want it, right, like you can actively have it. There might be a lot of stuff on that chart layout, Basil, that is not useful to you, right? Like if you don't understand what's going on it, it shouldn't be on your
So
chart.
reminder with Bank of England's coming to Bailey, no text is to be released.
So, but at least it'll be like my settings are correct, and then you can modify it from there. But like if you don't understand a piece of that indicator suite that I just put out there, like definitely remove it from your chart so you don't have the noise.
Trump says people thought oil barrel would be more expensive.
I also have like a ultra wide monitor, so my layout's going to make a lot more sense for me compared to some of you who are probably like trading off a laptop. All right, let me get out of here before I overstay.
Hey,
Peace, man.
later.
Good stream. Hopefully you guys learned something. We'll see you all Monday.